What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you all had a great Wednesday. In this video, we're really going to keep talking about the tropics, and we're going to probably be talking about the tropics over the next week a lot, as it looks like we're going to have the next named storm out here in the Atlantic, which is Elsa. Yes, like in the movie Frozen. So you're going to be seeing a lot of pictures, a lot of memes, I'm sure, on social media flying around, linked to weather-related things. So definitely be expecting that. But it really looks like a high chance, and high chance as in probably the next few updates from the National Hurricane Center. In fact, right now it's dubbed PTC5, which stands for Potential Tropical Cyclone 5. So here in the next update at 8 a.m. it might be a depression. But that's what we're going to break down in this video. We're going to go through all the models. We're going to talk about the preventing factors from potential Elsa from developing and the promoting factors for it to be maybe a worst case scenario, and what it looks like as far as impacts on the mainland here in the United States. I can tell you right now, this is definitely going to impact somehow the Caribbean islands, like the Dominican Republic, the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, potentially Jamaica, and definitely Cuba. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the potential threat for land. So if you guys have not hit the subscribe button, y'all have showed me a ton of love over the last 3 or 4 weeks. The growth has been amazing, and what y'all are doing is y'all just supporting a guy who has a passion for the weather. Y'all are supporting my passion just by viewing my content. So thank y'all for the incredible support. I upload daily, so even when the weather's kind of boring, I still keep the content rolling. Like the video if you like it, and hit the notification bell, and thank y'all for the amazing support. If y'all got anything I can pray about, anything that anybody else in the comments can pray about, if it's unspoken, say that, but put it in the comments, and it gives me an opportunity, it gives others an opportunity to pray for you. So here we go. This is basically 95L. It's getting tore apart. I think it's kind of outrunning itself, but basically this is not going to end up being anything. This is potential Tropical Cyclone 5. It could be a depression on the 8 p.m. update, so by the time some of y'all watch this, this could be an 8 p.m. update, and I think if anything, it'll get updated to a tropical depression. Who knows? Might get all surprised and be a tropical storm already, but I doubt it. I think if anything, it's going to stay the same, or it's going to get upgraded to a tropical depression of some sort. So this is it out here. As far as a path, and now that it's dubbed what it is, it has a cone of uncertainty for it. So it's going to be a storm probably. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a tropical storm on the morning updates tomorrow. In fact, it's predicting for it to be. So by 2 p.m. it's here. By about 2 p.m. Friday, it's saying it's going to be at the Lesser Antilles. And then it gets, obviously a little wider as it gets going a little later into the weekend. By about 2 p.m. afternoon time, Saturday, it's showing it's going to be just south of the Dominican Republic. And then I've had a lot of people ask about Jamaica. This has the potential to impact Jamaica. And if it does, it'll probably be in the latter half of the weekend, so maybe Sunday. And then gets into Cuba. And then when it gets up here, it gets unknown. So stick with me. Going to be a longer video like yesterday, but it's going to be worth it because you're going to find out some good information. We're going to really break this down here. This is the water vapor right here. So this is 95L. It's going to just deliver some showers and storms, some gusty winds to the eastern Caribbean islands, and make its way into the central Caribbean islands and continue to do the same. This is our big time potential right here. What's probably going to be Elsa. It already has that look to it. It's trying to develop a solid circulation. It's trying to find a low level circulation, but there's a big time convective explosion going on with some banding going on here, definitely on the west side of this storm. One thing I want to note is there is some dry air up here. This is Saharan dust from the Sahara Desert in North Africa that really likes to get way out here in the Atlantic this time of the year. But you notice there's a little bit of a boundary right here. That is where there's some more tropical moisture kind of protecting dry air from getting too wrapped up into what circulation there is, if you will. It's trying to find more of a wrapping circulation from the southwest here to get its full motion going here. But I'm going to be interested once we get into that D-max time frame as the sun comes up tomorrow morning, when you get the diurnal maximum, when, like I explained in the last video, when basically the air temperature it's basically the air temperature and the sea surface temperature are those most furthest apart that cause convective explosions. So it's interesting. I was watching Levi from Tropical Tidbits, the guy that's designed this page. He is an awesome guy. Really, if you don't know how to look at weather models, go to Tropical Tidbits. All of his stuff is free. I definitely say definitely if y'all can donate to his stuff, because he really provides a great learning stuff for people who basically aren't that great at looking at weather models. This is how I learned. And his videos are amazing on YouTube also. I know you don't see a lot of YouTubers promoting other people who does the same things, YouTube videos, but his videos are incredibly knowledgeable. He knows a lot more than I do and explains it very well too. But he mentioned in a video this morning or earlier this afternoon, there's something, normally around this time of the year, there's something called a tut. So basically it's like an upper level low. And I learned this morning too, but I love learning. I continue to love learning. And basically around this time of the year, that's why this is so rare. This thing called a tut that basically drops an upper level low through here, a lot of times likes to throw some high end shear out the southwest. And really, sometimes if you do get any tropical development this early in the year, it likes to shear off and basically destroy any tropical development from getting too deep or really even reaching the Caribbean islands. And it normally happens right around this area, but this is it way up here in the top of the screen. You can barely see it. It's really far north. It's positioned much further north, so it's not a gigantic impact on these little tropical systems. Now here's a close-up view of what will likely be Elsa. I'm just going to call it that. What will likely be Elsa, because there's about 100% chance this is going to be a tropical storm or next tropical storm. Notice how the satellite imagery kind of changes. That's because nighttime falls on the storm out, and this is much further east. So, as you know, nighttime comes from the east and rolls to the west. Most people know that, but this has that look to it. It has that little bit of a shrimp look to it. This is a big-time tropical depression, and this is going to continue to get its act together. But you can, even as a potential tropical cyclone, you can see the circulation going on with it. It's trying to get a little bit more of a southwest flow to it on this side of the storm. It'll continue to get its act together, but a big-time explosive area of convection has popped up right here in a more unfavorable time for explosive convection explosions to really happen in tropical systems at this time of the day. But these are the global and the hurricane models. This is what they have them going here, the latest ones from the 18Z models. All of them are pretty much tightly clustered until you get into about the central Caribbean islands, and then you start to get some things that begin to split. Some of them keep it in the eastern Gulf states. A lot of them want to ram it right into the western side of Florida. Some of them even have it kind of. One thing that I do want to mention is the more it interacts, especially with Cuba. Cuba has some very tall mountains. If it rides these land masses for too long, it's going to weaken the storm. Obviously, tropical cyclones don't develop over land; they develop over the ocean. Most people know that, but if it rides these Caribbean islands too much, it's going to weaken some. But it has a chance to get into the Gulf of Mexico, which is really, really starting to warm up. Now, as far as the intensity models, they really, almost every single one of them have it at least briefly going the tropical storm here within the next 12 hours. But what it does after that is it stays a strong tropical storm, I think, for a while. And that's even what the cone of uncertainty says for the National Hurricane Center. But a lot of them are starting to get into that Category 1, even potential Category 2 status. So, here we go. Here's your latest GFS. I tell you what, the last several runs have been kind of scary for the U.S. So, when you look at this, take this with a grain of salt, because these are just operational runs. Once you get past a certain, about 5 days out, you really start to get into not no man's land, but you kind of, in a time frame sense, you start to get into a time frame where it's just super unknown. So keep that in mind here. But as the storm gets going, you're getting into Friday afternoon. It's hitting the Lesser Antilles. Then it's making its way south to Dominican Republic. It's actually going between Jamaica and the mainland of Cuba as you get into Sunday morning. At this pet rate, if you're taking this as if it's going to happen, this is a Category 1, potentially a low-end Category 2 hurricane. It comes up, rides south of Cuba, stays mainly over water, begins to strengthen, hits Cuba as probably a good Category 2 hurricane, rides over Cuba, comes back out. We're getting into early next week around Tuesday afternoon, and then it starts eyeing down the lower 48, the south, the southeast, and it makes its way and begins to strengthen upon landfall. And as you get into Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, it shows around about a week out from today. It makes landfall on the western coast, basically the armpit of Florida, as a significant hurricane. Any hurricane significant. So this would be maybe like a Category 2 hurricane making landfall into Florida, and then rides up and affects a good chunk of the Georgia and the Carolinas. So that's just one model. You look at the Euro. Now, I will say the Euro still isn't going crazy or anything like that, but I will tell you, inch by inch, it does not. Let me tell you, the Euro has some pride to it. It does not want to fold to the GFS. I'm telling you that. But it is slowly, run by run, beginning to look a little bit stronger. So as it gets into Friday, it has it hitting the Lesser Antilles as a tropical storm. But it has it interacting with the Dominican Republic as early as Saturday afternoon a lot. And almost gets wrapped up in that looks like what looks like an upper level low over the United States, and kind of gets pulled apart, kind of gets pulled into that energy. And then really it gets, the energy of it actually gets to the east side of Florida as opposed to the GFS is the west side. And that's pretty much all she wrote. By the end of the weekend, it's just a blob of tropical moisture merging with what looks like an upper level low over the U.S. Now you look at the CMC, which really hasn't really wanted to do much with it either. Same thing, gets it going into the weekend. It cruises is probably just a tropical storm into parts of the Dominican Republic and gets kind of the same area as the GFS. And it runs into Cuba, kind of falls apart, gets back over the water between Florida and Cuba, and kind of just runs into the south end of Florida as maybe a tropical depression, a tropical storm, and brings tropical moisture throughout Florida and Georgia and the Carolinas midway next week. I'm going to show you this model. A lot of people like to look at this model, and it actually did very well with showing RI, which is a rapid intensification last year with many hurricanes that actually ended up doing RI, which is rapid intensification. So it's only really like a zoomed in close of this, so you're not going to really see a far out zoom. But as you get into Thursday afternoon, this thing is a hurricane, getting into a hurricane already. Starting to get into maybe a Category 2 hurricane. It's having it as a Category 2 hurricane hitting the Lesser Antilles. So it has it developing much, much quicker and more aggressive. And as it gets into Friday afternoon, it gets past the Lesser Antilles. It works its way south to Puerto Rico, then south to Dominican Republic, and does exactly what the CMC, the Canadian model does, and the European model runs, and has it between Jamaica and Cuba as a Category 3, getting close to a Category 4 hurricane. So yes, Jamaica, you need to watch out for this storm. The time frame would probably be later this weekend. Not saying you're going to get hit by a hurricane, a Category 3 hurricane. I'm just saying you need to watch out. But then it has it continuing to intensify, probably as a Category 4 hurricane at this point, and slamming into the south shore of central to western Cuba. And this is as far out as it goes, but this is for Monday afternoon. I want to mention this. This is where the storm's at now. Obviously, the brown shading and things like that are drier air. The more green shading is more tropical air mass, more of a humid air mass, and just a wet air mass. So as we're getting going through in here, some of that Saharan dust that dry air wants to get ahead of what would be Elsa. The thing is this thing on the GFS has really been trending faster. If it trends faster, then it's able to outrun basically the dry air from getting too much entrenched ahead of the storm. So meaning maybe dry air won't be a factor if it's going faster, but also if it's going faster, then if it's going too fast in the early stages of its development, then it might outrun itself a little bit to a degree. If that even matters, and it might not. But once it gets over here, then I don't think dry air necessarily is going to be an issue. Land interaction will probably be more of an issue. As far as the GFS, basically GFS ensembles, this is the latest ones. They're all pretty much tightly clustered, ramming into the Lesser Antilles. Then it gets to about around south of Dominican Republic, and this is when guidance begins to kind of split apart as we get into Monday and then the Tuesday. But a lot of it lately has been liking Florida. I'll tell you that for sure. As far as the sea surface temperatures, I don't think we need to worry about that at all. Well, I don't think that's a problem for tropical development at all. All it's doing is working its way into warmer and warmer waters, and when it gets around the Cuba area and the waters just south of Cuba, this thing has a chance to really explode if it's still intact by this point. I'm telling you, the water's there in the mid to upper 80s, so it's very, very warm. As far as shear, like I said, that tut that Levi mentioned is kind of up here, right? So as far as shear destroying the system, I don't think it's going to happen. Now, it's going to fight a little bit of shear. It's fighting a little bit of shear right now. But long term, shear I don't think is going to be a big problem with a storm when it gets into the Caribbean area. I really don't. I think the big time thing that's really going to prevent this from developing once it gets to the Caribbean area is basically land interaction with the big islands of the Caribbean. I show you this in every single video. This is the steering currents and what's steering this. And basically, I'll make this quick because I know I mentioned this in every video. You got a ridge of high pressure on top. And this is suppressing this storm system and allowing for a real southern track, which normally spells trouble for the lower 48 down the road. When this is taking that real south path, it's normally avoiding dry air. It's normally got a moist column, and normally it's I'm brain farting here, but normally it doesn't have a problem with the sea surface temperatures because they're a little bit further, they're a good bit warmer as far as more south you go. But as you get going here, it looks like the ridge kind of weakens, which I think allows it to be able to begin to turn north a little bit. But again, the ridge of high pressure might flex a little bit more. But there's basically, the stronger the storm is, the more it can kind of ram into a weak ridging in place. So if that's the case, then even though there's a little bit of a ridging in place, it's still going to move north because it's not really much of an influx of a ridge really doing anything to this storm in this situation. So as far as the European ensembles here, they get going, but they're still not crazy aggressive. But I tell you what, from 2 days ago where it was showing hardly nothing, it has definitely upticked a little bit as it's showing the good old SpaghettiOs rolling into the Caribbean. But that's all I got, guys. Longer video again, I know, but I want to explain what's going on. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for the incredible support and the growth, and I'll catch you tomorrow. And definitely, if you haven't done so already, follow me on Twitter. I post pretty regularly on there, and it's a good way to stay up to date because obviously I can't make a video every hour. So thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a blessed day, blessed evening.